We are live. I've just had the message from StreamYard to confirm. So I'm actually going to kick off this saying anything could happen. We've had to restart because there were sound issues and then I kept freezing. So goodness knows if this is going to work or not today. All the signs are good. So I'm crossing my fingers that we are going to have a really good live lunch for you today. Like I said, it's the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. We are live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and we're also live over on my LinkedIn profile. And it's that point in the week where we come together as a team and basically just exchange, like, you know, what is it we've been looking at news-wise? What is it we've been looking at from a content perspective? What have we been talking about with clients? If there were any trends, if anything's popped up that we think is worth having a conversation over. And we would be having this conversation internally anyway, but it's our way of kind of opening up the doors and windows and you getting to see just a little bit of what we're about when people aren't watching. So, how's everyone been this week?
Yeah,
good, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
As always, the phone rings.
It's like, I'm like tempted to answer it live and say, hey, what's your problem? And solve it live on air. But there we go. Cool.
That could backfire.
So
it'll be someone selling you something or some really awkward question.
Yeah, you can imagine that as a response, couldn't you, to a sales call? Like, oh, I'm really sorry, I'd love to talk to you, but I'm live on LinkedIn right now. So come on, guys.
Speaker.
Yeah. So what have we been up to this week? Come on, like Amanda, I haven't seen you all week. I don't think I've actually spoken to you this week or WhatsApped you or offended you. I haven't called you any names yet this week.
Not to my face that I know of anyway. So, I
Not
think
behind
we're
your
okay.
back either.
No, isn't it funny? And I think we may have said this before, how one day off, bank holiday, just throws your week out and it whizzes by and it's Thursday before you know it. Arguably, Emily and I should be all lovely and refreshed because we had a couple of days off at the end of last week. So
yeah,
I just
I had the week off actually.
You did,
but I think that's throwing me off even more. I think I was saying this to one of our mediators yesterday because obviously I had the week off. I missed live lunch the week before, and I think I missed live lunch the week before that. So I don't think I've been in live lunch for 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks that you've missed.
Is it 2 weeks? It is 2 weeks, isn't it?
So there was a discussion, because did you watch them back to see the discussion we had about your punishment?
I'd like to say yes, but no.
No, so we did, basically, there's something new in StreamYard now where you can do a poll, and we did a poll and everyone suggested that you do an episode of Live Lunch solo as punishment, and everyone agreed, so... Oh. Yeah, I can't remember when we scheduled it in.
Emily's brain box lunch special episode.
I'm only teasing. And just so everyone knows, there isn't a poll function in StreamYard that I know of. That was just me being a little bit cheeky there.
Just use the hashtag Ask Emily.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Awesome.
Love it.
So Amanda, come on then. What have you been, because you've had loads of calls over about Facebook this week, haven't you? People trying to get Facebook pages sorted.
It's been a Facebook kind of a week, and Facebook has, I don't know if misbehaving is the right word, but it's for me when I go in, where it used to go just nicely into Business Manager, and I really like the layout, and I found it super easy to use. That's how I coach people when they're running their business, to check their notifications, check their DMs, make sure they're interacting. It's now when you go into Business Manager, it takes me straight into Creator Studio. So, which is just not, you can't in there manage your page effectively. So I don't know if it's a glitch. I'd be really interested actually if anybody listening or watching who uses Facebook and manages a business page has experienced the same sort of thing. So I know one other person has contacted me to go, it's doing my head in. But between you and I, Christina, we did speak actually, because you gave me a call to find a little hack way around it.
Oh,
so
I was being clever, so I obviously removed that from my memory.
That was just a standard day for you, wasn't it? Solving problems, getting things done. So yes, you helped me around that, which is great. So yeah, if anyone is using Facebook on the business side and it just defaults them to Creator Studio, drop us a line. We can maybe find a way around for you. But in all my kind of adventures on Facebook, I've noticed there is a new icon, new little, I don't know if button's the right word, but icon. So when you're scrolling through your news feed, I've particularly found it in group discussions, so groups I'm a member of, or on promoted posts. And just underneath the post, so if you're looking at it, it's just underneath and to the right, it's kind of like a yin yang, you know, when you've got like two waves that kind of link together like that. But they're in a kind of purple and blue color. So to me, it looks kind of like a wave mixed with a yin yang sign. And it shows you related posts. So underneath it kind of says something like 20 related discussions or however many. So, and you can click on that and it will take you to those related discussions, which is certainly a new thing that I've seen. And I guess it's because maybe if you're in a really big group and you're trying to find questions about, I don't know, let's say back pain. So if you're in kind of a fitness group and you've put your back out, you want to find exercises and things around that. So yeah, it's just, I guess, another way for Facebook to kind of keep pushing you towards content that is relevant for you. So again, I'd be curious to know if anyone else has seen that or if it's something they're rolling out gradually.
I haven't seen it. I haven't.
I've had it for about a week or so, maybe a little bit more. Haven't actually clicked through any of the related discussions though, but I have seen the icon.
I did this morning, and one of them it worked, another one it just didn't show anything. So I suspect it's still a little bit in progress and rolling out. But yeah, so if you are participating, so as a business, if you are contributing maybe to local groups, so it is worth kind of, if you've got a page that you're running, whether you are, I don't know, like a fitness business, whether you're selling jewelry or recruitment services or whatever it might be, it is worth becoming a member of a local group, either as your business or as you as an individual. And again, this is something I was kind of talking about with a client who was having some Facebook coaching about how you kind of need to position yourself as thought leader. Can be a bit of a cheesy word and a bit of a cheesy phrase, but you need to kind of let people know that you are there and you know what you're talking about and you're an expert in that subject, whether it's local knowledge, business knowledge, recruitment knowledge, whatever it might be. So being part of a group enables you to do that.
I think this is the thing when it comes to Facebook groups. When we talk about marketing as a whole and that kind of, being the expert in your field and personal branding and all that sort of stuff, we talk about there's a phrase, know, like, trust. Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to Facebook groups, we have to change the order. We have to gain people's trust, first of all, by being part of the group. Okay, if you're part of the clique, then we trust you automatically. Okay, once we've got that, then we kind of, those people are then going to be interested in what we're doing. At that point, then they're going to want to sort of, know you at that point. So it is about kind of switching that around a little bit, being part of a group, engaging in everything that's there already, being a familiar name that pops up in the conversations, and only at that point actually then having a voice, because like I said, it's that if people trust you and they like you, then actually now they're going to want to dig in and actually find out exactly what it is you do. So I think there's a slightly different strategy, or is it a strategy, or is it a slightly different tactical plan, perhaps, is a better way of describing it in terms of Facebook groups than what we see on LinkedIn, for example. But yeah, no, it's I think Facebook groups are really underutilized, seriously underutilized. So yeah, I'm glad you raised that one.
It takes,
Emily.
It takes a bit of. Oh, sorry.
No, okay.
Go on. No, go. Okay,
I was going to say it does take a bit of time and effort. It's again, this is kind of goes back to the basics with a social media strategy. It's not just about broadcasting your message. You've actually got to interact. So it takes time and effort to be a member of these groups, and not just kind of spam out your messages. So people might, if they remember and they're regular watchers, they might remember we had a lady called Jill Stewart from Walks on here, who is basically, they're an outdoor gym, outdoor walking group. And and they will become members of local groups, whether it's kind of a what's on, but they'll just share really useful information, like, watch out this, say if they're on the coastal path has collapsed, you can't walk that way, or adders are out. So they're sharing useful information as a person, which then people kind of go, oh yeah, like you say, I trust them, or I like them, I know them. So it takes a bit of effort, and you kind of have to get your helpful hat on rather than your sales hat on.
Yeah. I was going to say, Amanda, I think I've noticed as well, sort of across Facebook, on quite a lot of my pages, everything's different. So sometimes at the moment I've got a news feed. Sometimes I don't have a news feed. Sometimes I click on the news feed and it's getting me to follow pages, and it then says go to news feed. It doesn't work, so I have to refresh it and then it works. Sometimes I click on Business Manager and it takes me straight to Creator Studio. Sometimes I haven't got Creator Studio. Sometimes I've got Publishing Tools and then I have to go to Creator Studio. Sometimes I've got Publishing Tools and no Creator Studio. Sometimes I've got Creator Studio and no Publishing Tools. It's so annoying. That's why I'm so glad I'm not like you and coach people, because I think just every time I go in, I'm like, right, how is it in this page? How is this going to work today? The next day it's completely different, and it's so frustrating. Like, it's really annoying.
It's so annoying. And if someone comes to you with the problem and you don't have that problem and you can't replicate it,
I know. Yeah, exactly.
It's like I can't find a hack or a workaround for you because I don't have that problem. So it's there's no other way I need to get to it. So Facebook, sort your act out. I think at the moment you're being a pain in our rear end.
Yeah, 100%. Oh no, Christina's gone.
No.
Oh, she's back.
Excuse me.
Christina, you just went blank. You had a blank screen. Can you hear us?
She's still frozen.
I think she's gone. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, she's gone.
disappeared. They just crack on without me.
I think it's connected by 1G or something at the minute.
Yeah, it's worse than me a few weeks ago when it wasn't working. Possibly, I don't know. Cool. So the other thing that I was going to talk about then, Amanda, I know we spoke about it briefly before we went live, but was just it being Pride Month. So I know Christina wanted to talk about that a little bit, but obviously she's not here. And I was going to mention it in terms of TikTok specifically. So I did sort of a little bit of research, and I've seen sort of what TikTok are doing as part of their Pride Month campaign, you probably call it. So at the moment, they are putting a sort of a push or a campaign behind two hashtags. So one of the hashtags is FYP, and the other hashtag is For Your Pride, which is what FYP stands for. But basically what people are saying is within TikTok anyway, a lot of people use that hashtag in order to reach sort of a wider audience. TikTok recently released a statement basically saying that there's no point in doing that because it doesn't help you in terms of reach and engagement, but obviously people are doing it anyway because they think it works. So it's interesting that now this month has come around that they've put their whole campaign behind that hashtag, because what I feel they're possibly trying to do with that is encourage only relevant users or relevant content to have that hashtag on it, to sort of, I guess, to sort of push people away from using it on anything, because there has been such a sort of a big push behind it in terms of the campaign. So that's one thing that they're doing. The other thing that they're doing, I've written them down here, is they've added 9 new colour effects, including things like rainbow hair and pride flag sky AR. That's really hard to say. They've also, what have they done? They've announced their participants in their 2nd annual LGBTQ plus TikTok Trailblazers initiative. I can't speak today. So what they're basically doing with that is they have different participants that take part, and they just sort of share their work and things like that on the discovery page. They're donating 500k to organizations that support the LGBTQ plus community. And the final thing they're doing is they're hosting a range of live performances and events in TikTok Live. And one of these is going to be a global TikTok Pride March. So another thing that it was sort of saying is that they're obviously trying to put a bit of a push behind TikTok Live as well. So yeah, they're doing quite a lot, actually, to be honest. I thought it was quite interesting, and particularly the thing about the hashtag. I wonder if that is part of their reasoning behind it, is to make only relevant content users use that hashtag. I'm not sure, but yeah, they're doing a lot. So it'll be interesting to see sort of how many people sort of use the different effects and how many people use the hashtags and things.
Because I always thought, I mean, I'm no TikTok expert, that the FYP was for your page.
Yeah, so they do.
And-
So basically, it stands for different things, which is, I think, why people use it. So they're sort of like a for your page section, but now they're sort of trying to change it to for your pride as well. So I think that was sort of, as far as I could understand, that was the reasoning behind it. But yeah, I wonder if sort of that's sort of part of the reason why they're sort of trying to switch it to that, maybe, just so that it's sort of clearer what it is or what it stands for.
She's gone again.
I was going to say she's back. She must be having dreadful internet signal connection today.
I can imagine she's getting so annoyed.
Well, that's really cool about TikTok and Pride. That's an awful lot that they're doing.
It's a lot, isn't it? I thought that when I was reading through the article, obviously I was making my notes for Live Lunch, and I was thinking, I kept writing last thing, and then I'd carry on reading, and I'd be like, oh no, last thing. So like they are doing a lot, I think. But it'll be interesting as a comparison as well to see what the other sort of social media platforms are doing, sort of in terms of how much, because obviously I know Instagram and Snapchat always do sort of filters and that sort of thing, but I wonder if they're going to be doing anything else alongside it, because like you said, it does seem like TikTok is doing sort of quite a lot above and beyond what the other platforms usually do.
Yeah. I've noticed that Facebook, and this isn't particularly a new thing, but the icon to the logo in the top. So when you first log in, you've got so it's animated almost like Google does. So you know how Google would change its logo when there's kind of something going on, you know, whether it's Pride or whether it's an anniversary of a historian or scientist or something. They'll do that on Google. Now Facebook do that as well. So I've noticed when I logged in, the sort of the Facebook, the F's will kind of jump around and it'll move. So and so that's got a Pride theme.
Okay. I haven't noticed that, but is it just literally as soon as you log in?
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look.
I've only seen it on my phone, not on desktop. But
I'm trying to think where I saw. I think it might have been phone rather than desktop.
Okay.
It's one of those things when you're in and out of it all day, you kind of forget where you've seen it and on which device. Yeah.
See, I only tend to really use, sort of going off subject a tiny bit, but I only tend to really use Facebook on desktop, whereas Instagram and stuff, obviously I always use that on my phone, but it's because I don't really use Facebook as much from sort of a personal perspective, because obviously we're using it all day. Got to switch off at some point or I'll freak out.
Sadly, I don't. I'll sort of finish work and then go, I'll just go scroll through that then.
Yep.
probably part of the problem. There we go. Anyway, Jane, how's your week been?
Yeah, not bad. Busy as ever. And like you said, because we had Monday off, it's I don't know what day of the week at all it is this week, to be fair. But one of the things that I'd been looking at this week was Twitter Blue, which is their subscription service. So it's not rolled out yet, but it's apparently imminent. So it's going to cost you $2.99 a month. And we'll talk about in a minute who would pay for this. So what you get for this is the ability to undo your tweet when you've sent it. You get a reader mode that it sort of changes all your threads into like a sort of easy to read content. And also you can change the color of your app logo, and you can change the color of your timeline, which is something you can do on desktop anyway, but you never could do that on your phone before. You'll be able to do that. And you can organize your tweets into collections and folders. So I don't think I'd pay $2.99 a month to be able to do those things personally.
But you're like, you never make a typo. You're like, you never put the coffee in the wrong place. So,
I nearly did today.
like, you know, and so I would pay like $3 a month. It's like,
it's not a lot.
I really like an iced vanilla latte from Costa. Okay, That's like less than that. I can have one less of those a month and be able to recall my tweets when I do something wrong.
Can't you delete your tweets anyway?
Delete it. Yeah.
But then you've got to you've got to redo it all again, haven't you? This is like you'll be able to. It's like you hit tweet and then you get an undo button.
Mm.
Imagine like I'd be undoing left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I think I'm with Jane. I don't know if I would pay it. Because for me, if I tweet something, let's say I made a mistake and I'd already tweeted it, I read it straight after I've tweeted it anyway. So I'm only, I'd get it in the point that if people don't do that or whatever, or they miss something, then yeah, and say it's got some, I don't know, retweets or likes or something. So when it says you can, is it edit it? Is that what you can do?
It's still not an edit. But
okay.
Because when we make a mistake on these things, the point we notice, more often than not, the point you notice it is immediately after you've hit send.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually you'll have, I think it's like 10, 15 seconds and you'll be able to hit undo and it will unpublish the tweet and you can carry on, do whatever you want to do and then send it from there.
Right, okay. Yeah, so it is sort of the same. Yeah, I guess. Okay. I don't know if I pay for that or not. What else did you say that you get, Jane, with that? You can group tweets.
You can put your threaded tweets into an easy to read format. But you can do that with a thread reader anyway, or you could just read down the list. I don't know.
To be able to do that in platform, so it comes down to how you use the platform as well. Okay, so from my perspective, some of the conversations I'm reading, there's like a load of tweets that are threaded together because someone split an article up, or there's dialogue that's been going on, and I want to understand the full story. So actually being able to do that in platform is going to make my life much easier. But there's another thing which kind of ties into that, which is the collections. So we've had the ability on Facebook for ages. You know, when you see something on Facebook and you save it, you can actually like create little folders and save things into little folders. So I'll be going through, and we all know how sad I am, and I scroll through Facebook on my mobile, looking at adverts and saving them and putting them into folders, so that if we get something with, let's say there's just something that's really creative and I'm thinking, oh, we should be doing that for one of our lead gen things, or that would work really well for a recruiter. I've got these little folders set up. If I need some inspiration, that's what I do. I kind of go there and sort of say, well, actually, this is the sort of stuff that's standing out in feeds at the moment. Well, I'm now going to be able to do that on Twitter. And if you're using Twitter as somewhere to go and find content ideas, you know, maybe there are some categories. Let's say, think about recruiters. Maybe they've got a collection of articles that they found through Twitter to do with innovations in software as a service products, because they're recruiting specifically within that niche. Actually, it's going to be a really, really useful tool. But I think it is about how you use the platform. For me, Twitter Blue, some of the stuff, like, I really don't care what colour the icon is on my phone. Like, if I'm going to open Twitter, I'm just going to open it. I don't need a colour coordinated home screen on my iPhone. But the collections, the undo option and the reader mode, like, for me, I think for essentially $3 a month, that's worth the time it's going to. The time that I'll save doing those three things, definitely.
To be fair, I do save things on Facebook, like you said, but to me, I feel like that should be a given on Twitter, and that you shouldn't have to pay for it, but they should just do it anyway, because actually it is really useful. I mean, you do have a bookmarking thing already on Twitter, but it's obviously not as in depth as that, and you can't organise it very well. But I just think that it should be free, personally.
Call them, Jane.
Stingy, that's my problem.
Can you write them an old school letter?
Dear Twitter, not good enough.
Well, between you having a word with Twitter, I'll have a word with Facebook. We'll get them all ship-shape by next week, I'm sure.
Kick off.
definitely.
I was going to dive in with something on the Facebook thing, just as I was having all my technical issues. So maybe we'll save that for next time. But Mark, come on then. We've decided if Mark's not going to bring anything to the table in terms of stuff he's found this week, then he's at least got to come with a question for us to answer.
Okay, well, I have actually been thinking about something that's quite relevant and breaking news, or it was last night. So none of you lot, apart from Amanda, are obviously sports fans, really. So there was a big hoo-ha yesterday with a guy called Ollie Robinson who made his England debut for the cricket team. And then it transpired later on in the day that they found a load of sort of old racist and sort of homophobic tweets going back about 8 years. And he was about 18 at the time, and then he had to come out obviously last night and apologise, and it's obviously ruined his debut from his point of view. But a lot of the ex sort of players and things were also saying, from a sort of due diligence point of view, that the ECB should have been checking, way back to see what he was like when he was younger. And so, what's your opinion on checking how far back as an employer or a potential employer would you now actually look back on social media?
That's a good question.
It's a really good question. And it happens quite a lot in well, like you say, I suppose just because you and I are quite, kind of in the sporty world, we're watching. There was quite a well-documented one fairly recently with the captain of the Argentinian rugby team. And I think if you're not really performing, or there's nothing you're not in the public eye, then it kind of goes beneath the radar. Like, Argentina are not an amazing rugby team in terms of, they're not the All Blacks. They don't get as much press attention, but they beat the All
Blacks thing.
Exactly, which is when this came to attention, because they beat it and everyone was going, oh my God, they're so amazing. And their captain, he's so amazing. Isn't he great? And I don't know, maybe cynically, you think there's someone in the background going, I'm just going to have a little scroll through their history, see if I can bring them down. But they did. And that's when, so it's not until someone, I think, is in the public eye, or we really want to check, and that the digging goes back. So like this guy who made his debut, it's kind of someone, whether it's in the press, or newspaper, is going back and doing the digging to find out what they're like. It's got to be
in that respect, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think it's going to be someone has been told, right, find out everything about this guy.
Dig for dirt.
Yeah. And now, should the ECB have done that themselves in the first place to negate this situation? And the other ironic thing was they've got a big campaign that started yesterday with the test match about, I can't remember the name of the campaign offhand, but it's it's like a be nice, be compassionate type campaign, and this just obviously totally overshadowed everything they were sort of promoting on the day as well. So it's a big mess for all of them.
Their marketing and comms team will be sat in the background going,
no,
why didn't we know about this? But yeah, it's good, because I suppose as if employers, like you say, when you're recruiting, you do tend to have a little look at someone's Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it might be. But yeah, how far back do you go? I can see Christina's got
Okay, so I think there's a couple of things here. It depends on the role and the public eye. Are you going to be in it or not? So we're recruiting for a position at the minute. So I'm looking at people's social media activity, but I'm looking at it in are they comfortable with video? Are they? How are they using social media? Are they using it for business purposes? Because if they are, obviously that's we need that skill set in the business. We need to know they've got that understanding. So should you look? Well, actually, I think you should. I absolutely think you should. But I don't believe you should have biases based on what you see. Okay, so looking for that kind of reinforcement of skill set to see actually, okay, how engaged, because every business now has some form of social media marketing going on, whether they want to admit to it or not. And if they haven't, it's probably on their agenda, or they've got that thought, I know I should be doing video, but I shouldn't be. And so actually every recruit you have coming into your business, are they active on social? kind of needs to, are they going to be open to being active on social as being part of my business? I do think that's a question that should be asked, and that everything's there. Everything that an individual chooses to have public is there for us to consume. So there's kind of there's a thing there. However, I'm not the person today that I was when I was 18, 20, 25. So actually, if we're, so we always pick on Emily anyway, but Emily being that bit younger than the rest of us, we're gonna be able to dig back further, if you like, into her younger years on social.
Please don't.
Exactly that. When I was 1998, 1999, and I was going clubbing, and we weren't,
they're all on Polaroids though.
Yeah, I was going to say
disposable cameras.
Yeah.
Somewhere in a drawer somewhere. It's not like online for the world to see. Although I did find some videos from 1994 on YouTube the other day with me singing in a choir in a church in Italy, which was made me feel very happy. So you never know; it could be online. But it's I just think we really need to be very careful. Now, as individuals, you've got the option that, Emily, those posts of yours, you can go back and you can kind of toggle them so that they're no longer public. You can, on Instagram, you can archive photos, archive your posts. You can delete them. So you've got that flexibility there. You've got the options there. But yes, when it comes to people that are in the public eye, yes, there should be a bit more done in terms of due diligence, basically.
I think everyone just needs to be aware of what they're posting and realizing that it is out there. No matter how old you are, what you're doing, if you are going to go for another job or something like that, or just generally, it is public. Like you say, if you don't, well, even whether it's public or not, if it's, you need to be aware of what you're posting.
The thing, so Jason's, he's left a question on LinkedIn. Should social media and your digital footprint sort of be taught in schools? The reality is, it is taught in schools. There was a report by Ofcom. It's probably about 2-3 years old now. So I haven't looked recently to see if it's been updated or not, if I'm honest. And I hope they will do. But that piece of research found that in the UK, actually, if you think about the secondary school age children, they are far more aware about digital footprints, the risk around social, far more aware of that than actually their parents are. And I think when it comes to the education piece, as the adults and and everyone on this call are would fit the bracket of someone that has children. Actually, it's our generation that needs to be responsible. It's our generation that needs the education in order to take that forward. So it's one of those things in terms of that responsibility. And loads of schools do all sorts of things to try, the education they're giving the kids, to give that to the parents as well. The parents just don't show up. That's the bottom line. It's that they'll get a handful of parents there, and it's the same parents that always turn up that are probably are already aware because they've got that element of responsibility there.
Do you think the children, although they're aware, they don't fully understand the impact? Because weirdly, when I was away, we were having a conversation about it, and we were talking about the, I guess, again, sort of Instagram influencers and that sort of thing, and the sort of outfits they wear on social media and how younger children are emulating that. And we were just sort of having a discussion about it and thinking, do you think that they understand what social media is, but do you think that they fully understand what they're doing by putting those sort of images out in the public? Because I don't think they do, because otherwise why would they do it?
Okay, literally this weekend, I can't remember if it was Sunday night or Monday night, we were having this conversation at home as well with Bella, my 15-year-old daughter. And I actually, the conversation got quite intense, but in a good way. Like, we were all really engaged in it. And I sort of said to her, you should come on live lunch and let's talk about this, because one of the things that she said is that, yes, there's that kind of stuff going on, as you've just described, Emily, but also for every one post like that, they are being served like she says she's seeing advert after advert that is promoting the opposite. So yes, you see something of a stick thin model, but then the next thing you're seeing is actually, if you've got issues with, if you've got issues around food, here's where you get support. Here's how you can support yourself. So actually, as much as there is that kind of element going on, there's a lot of positive stuff around that as well that's sort of counteracting it. So it's definitely a really important conversation, and maybe we should get Bella on to, represent the secondary schoolers.
Represent.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just. I just feel like, do the kids understand when they're first presented with a mobile phone, because of the ages of kids at this point? No, they don't. They haven't got a clue. And their first experience of being social in through a digital format is through things like group messaging. If they've got an iPhone, they've got group messages through there. It might be WhatsApp groups, stuff like that. I hate WhatsApp. Like, WhatsApp and children are two things that should never be together, because it just encourages nastiness amongst kids. But these young kids, they first hit the likes of Instagram, let's say, when they're still at primary school, a lot of them, and the parents they're not educated, they don't understand, and therefore they can't watch it properly. They can't monitor it the way it needs to be monitored. And so I think at that age group, no, they don't understand. Once they hit secondary school, there are so many secondary schools where there is a story. There is that girl that sent that photo to that boy that she shouldn't have sent, that actually now has been circulated around all of the local schools, and that there has been that issue. And I think when those kinds of issues happen, and it's within that closed community, it's not a story in a paper. It's not something they've seen on TV that they're really far removed from. It's not it's not a storyline in a book they've read, or something that's been part of a script for whatever they're watching on Netflix. It's real life at that point. So I do feel like, actually, once they're at secondary school, unfortunately these things happen, so they do have that awareness. And like I said, again, it comes back to as parents, if we make sure we've got the understanding, then we can help our kids with this stuff.
Yeah,
it's probably going to change over time as everything becomes more ingrained in people's way of communicating. Because this guy, 8 years ago, Twitter was still fairly new. People wouldn't have realised that perhaps they didn't think Twitter would be around now. It'd be like looking at someone's MySpace page now.
Bebo.
So
Bebo is back.
Yeah. I wonder if I can log in again. I don't even remember. I might try. Do I want to? Probably not.
It's a really interesting topic, actually, Mark, and not not where I thought you were going to go when you started that off as well. So maybe we should do something around that. I actually thought, and I don't know tons about this because I'm not a sporting person. I actually, when you started talking, I thought you were going to talk about the tennis player who refused to.
Naomi Osaka.
Stress and mental health reasons. Yeah. So that's where I thought you were going to go with that one then. Any thoughts on that one?
I've read a little bit on it, and
I think
don't know.
it's fair enough. She's a young woman, and she is quite young. I forget how old she was, but I think she was thrust into the limelight because she beat Serena Williams, and she was an underdog about 2 or 3 years ago now. And it was where Serena Williams was really contesting a lot of things and kind of having a debate with the umpire. So there was a lot of media around that because they were talking about, well, is Serena being a diva, and who's this amazing young woman? And she was almost kind of made out to be this vision and this kind of wonderful, pure, brilliant woman that was coming through, which, great. She rightly earned her place to win, and she was very, very cool, calm and collected. But the media, they can be cruel. You're in the public eye. It can be a massive amount of pressure and scrutiny. And if she was trying to take the decision to say, I really don't want to do this at the moment, then why not?
Yeah, we've done it on here. We've had weeks where someone's been missing, and we explain it away, but actually there's been times where just not up to it, just can't face it today. Or the we kind of said, well, actually, okay, right, we know how much work, we know how much pressure you're on today, so actually don't do live lunch, we'll do it without you. So I think there is a when you're doing stuff like this, when you're doing stuff like this, you've got to be in the right mindset. You've got to get yourself ready. We always have a bit of a giggle just before we go live, so we've got the right energy before we start and stuff like that. But I can completely understand how she in that moment was like, actually, I can't do that interview because I need to be focusing on the job I've got to do. And I completely get that.
Yeah.
I think it was almost quite a brave thing to actually do it and not give in to the pressure of it. The fact that she's been fined for not doing it, I really do think is wrong.
She's actually pulled out now, though.
Yeah, she pulled out the whole tournament, so she could have. Yeah, Christina's
pulled out. Yeah.
Pulled out. Can we find her? Can we find her?
I think we should.
Yeah, and I think she quite clearly stated, I will be in the public eye, and she used social media to put her statement out, which you often find. I think a lot of people, they will write a statement maybe in the notes section on their phone, and then they'll screenshot it. And that's where they share their statement. And I think a lot of celebrities do this, or people in the public eye, whether it's to say they're retiring from something. I know the guy, Martin Compston, the actor from Line of Duty, he made a statement because obviously there was loads of media attention around them. I forget what the issue was. It was something around his family. But yeah, so they use the social media. And I think that's where other kind of more controversial celebrities will go, oh, they use it when it suits them. And it's kind of, well, yes, it is a platform that's there to serve, but these people, they're under no obligation to, perform and entertain us. It's kind of, they don't owe us, the public, anything. Go and play tennis and entertain us, and then go and sit in front of the media and have them scrutinize you by asking questions like, why did you lose? Or, what was, even if they won, why did your opponent lose? It's kind of, well, yeah, so I have every sympathy for her.
Yeah.
So Christina's commented saying, she's kicked off her own show again. Crack on without me. So, but she managed to get through just about 45 minutes with us. So, I mean, is there anything else? I feel like we kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole almost, but a relevant one. And I wonder if maybe a live lunch one day should be a bit of a social media training for 101, cybersecurity social media training for parents and youngsters. Maybe that's a theme for a later date.
Get those
That'd be
privacy
good.
settings, Emily.
Exactly.
Hang on, I am much better now. Thank you. Only because you made me go in and sort it out.
That's because we did our due diligence when you joined.
Oh, did you? Did you check that?
No,
Do you remember the date, just to reminisce very briefly, when Facebook, your status update, it used to be preceded by the word is? So it would say, Emily Baxter is, Mark Munden is. So you had to then put your status update to say something like, at the pub, with her friends. So you couldn't just, it had to, pull in quite nicely. So, and then of course they sometimes ping up your memories. So the other day, I think mine pinged one up that said, Amanda Davis is eating an apple. So
Wow.
what a life I lived in my 20s. I don't know why I felt the need to share that, but I imagine it was like when, it was years and years ago. So it was probably when Facebook was really, really new. You couldn't add photos. It was literally just text. It's probably trying it out. But yeah, so hopefully there's nothing too controversial if anyone ever went back that far.
I might do that now.
How boring you are.
Go back and screenshot that apple.
Yeah, exactly.
The apple status update.
There we go. Is there anything else that we need that we haven't mentioned that we have because we've got off on tangents and big news that we needed to share this week?
I don't have anything. No,
I don't either, actually.
Oh, groovy. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap it up there then, especially without our esteemed leader. So join us again next week. We will be back Thursday, 12 o'clock as usual on Green Umbrella Facebook channel, Green Umbrella YouTube channel, and Christina's LinkedIn. And I really wish there was a poll setting in StreamYard that we could kind of agree what her punishment might be. But there isn't. So until next time, we'll give you all a wave so Emily can take a photo. I'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Jane's gone as well.
Yeah, someone has to press the button that makes us stop being live because we still are, and I don't have the power.
I don't know.
So Christina is the one with the login. So guys, this is the kind of awkward after spiel. Mark, do you have the power?
No, I'm not logged in.
If we all leave, will that work?
It's just an empty studio then with tumbleweeds. Let's give it a go, kids. We'll all disappear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Later.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.